Good morning, students. Today is Wednesday, October 21st, and it is the last day of our nonfiction notes. Yesterday, we went over author's purpose and facts, claims, and bias, and on Monday, we did main idea. So today, the last day is text structure. So notes are a little bit longer today, so make sure you pause, take a break if you're starting to space out, and make sure you have your notes out in front of you, either on paper or online. And so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. All right. So this is where we left off yesterday with facts, claims, and opinions and bias. So as a reminder, on the scale from left to right, fact is something that can be proven. A claim is an arguable statement that involves an opinion. So it's closer to a fact because you can back it up with evidence, but it's still closer to an opinion as well. And then finally, an opinion is just a statement that reflects a person's beliefs. And we talk about bias is when somebody's writing is in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, and both their facts and opinions reflect the side that they support. Therefore, we need to be careful about what we believe when we know an author has a bias. So our last element of nonfiction is text structure, and text structure is how the text is organized. Remember, the bold words are the ones you need to write down. Okay, so text structure. Almost all stories, fiction, like all fictional stories, are organized chronologically. That's what the plot diagram is. It is beginning, middle, and end. They go in order of time. Nonfiction has many different types of text structure. They do not need to go in order of time, and we'll see why as we do some of our examples. And sometimes in a nonfiction text, if there are multiple paragraphs, each paragraph might have a different text structure as well. And we're going to talk about the 6 different types. Now, there might be, these are the broad categories, and pretty much everything that we're going to cover this year, and pretty much most nonfiction texts you'll read will be one of these 6 types in their organization. And in your notes, this is in bold, I want you to put in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is chronological, sequence, cause and effect, problem and solution, compare and contrast, and description. Now, pause at any time if you need to write those down or type them in, and then start me up again when you're ready, because I'm going to go to the next slide. We're going to start with chronological. Now, chronological means that the passage or the text is organized in order of time, beginning, middle, and end. Chrono is a Greek root that means time. We're actually going to talk about that later this year. And most stories are told chronologically. First this happened, then this, then this, then this. Some of the hint words or phrases. So every single text structure, there's going to be these signals, these hints, and they're going to be specific words that you're going to look for to identify the text structure. For chronological, it is dates, like days and years, as well as phrases like blank years later, showing the passage of time. So each one of our text structures will also have a graphic organizer, a picture that goes with the type of structure, and you will use that to identify them. You can see this is an example of a timeline. So things go from left to right, from the earliest to the most recent, first event, second event, third event. And you should be able to fill that out for a chronological piece of nonfiction. Let's do some practice. I'm going to read this, and then you are going to see if you can identify some of those hint words or phrases like dates or blank years later. Edward was born on October 12, 1537 at Hampton Court Palace. Edward was given a rigorous education and was intellectually precocious, though his health was never strong. Edward became king at the age of 9 when his father died in January 1547. Edward died on July 6, 1553. Although he was only king of England for a few years, his short reign was an important one in England's history. What are some words that hint that this passage's text structure is chronological? All right, take a moment. One of them is a date, October 12, 1537. Another one, January 1547. Finally, July 6, 1553. And so you take your text structure, your timeline, and you should be able to plug these pieces in and it should make sense. He was born in 1537. That's the first event. Second event is he became king in 1547. And finally, he died in 1553. They go in order of time. All right. Next, sequence. Sequence shows steps in a process by either when they occur or by level of importance. So this is something like how to do something, step 1, step 2, step 3, like a recipe is also a good example of sequence. It is similar to chronological, but it doesn't really take place at any specific point in time. It doesn't really matter what day it is or what time it is. They just go in order, but it's steps in a process rather than dates in time. The hint words or phrases are things like first, next, last, then, any of those that kind of show an order. And this is our visual, our graphic organizer for step by step. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So let's do our example. The first step when tying your shoes is to put your shoe on your foot. Next, take 2 strings separately and create 2 loops or bunny ears. Then cross the loops and tie them together. Lastly, tighten the knot by pulling the loops out to the side away from the shoe. Voila, your shoe is tied. What are some of the words that hint that this passage's text structure is sequence? First, next, then, lastly. And another way you can think about it too is that you have an end result. You started somewhere and you finished. Step by step, well, first you put on your shoe. Make 2 loops, tie loops together, tighten the laces, step by step. And that is an example of sequence. Just like a recipe, first mix the dry ingredients together. Then, in a separate bowl, mix the wet ingredients together. Third, combine wet and dry ingredients, mix, and put in oven to bake. Those steps in order. All right, next one is cause and effect. It tells you why something happened. So there might be an effect and it's going to explain the causes, or it could be one cause and these are the effects. Like I said, it can go one way or the other, and I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Some of those hint words or phrases are things like because, cause, effect, result, and reason. Like, this is why, or this is the reason that, because of this. So these can go 2 directions. It can either have like a few causes, like 1, 2, 3, and they have one effect. So cause number 1, cause number 2, cause number 3, 3 going into 1 effect. It can also go the other way though. You could also have 1 cause and then here are the 3 effects. And you'll be able to figure that out based on the information in the text. Let's do an example. Education in our society serves many purposes, but there are 3 main functions. First, students learn skills that will help prepare them for society, writing, reading, and mathematics. Second, schools serve communities, whether by functioning as polling locations during elections or providing safe havens for students in temporary living situations. Public schools add value to communities. Third, public schools provide a structured environment for children to engage in productive activities during many days of the year while adult caretakers might be working. These are the 3 primary reasons why we have schools in our society. So what are those hint words that help us know that it is cause and effect? Functions or roles, reasons. When you have reasons, then you know it's a cause and effect. So here we've got 3 causes and 1 effect. Sometimes we are going to have the effect at the end, and sometimes it'll be at the beginning. It depends on how it is set up. But remember, we're always looking to the first and last sentences for this information. So schools are very important. And here are the 3 reasons why. Here are the 3 causes that make school very important. 1, students learn important skills. They get educated. 2, schools serve communities. 3, they also provide childcare while parents work. Problem and solution. Remember, pause at any time because you have that freedom. because I'm just whipping through. Problem and solution is kind of self-explanatory. It explains a problem or an issue and how to fix it. It can be similar to cause and effect, but problem and solution usually has an opinion, meaning I think this is the way we should solve a problem, or I think this is the answer to our problem. Cause and effect doesn't necessarily have to be a problem, like that schools example we just looked at. There wasn't a problem in there, but they have some similarities. The hint words or phrases are the word problem, or fix, or solution, or answer. Anything that has some similarity to the word problem and solution, if you see those, you've got a problem and solution passage. And we show this by one large box, and there are many, sometimes there'll be 3, sometimes there'll be 1, but we're going to use the example of a problem box and solution boxes. Let's do our example. Ooh, excuse me. Our farmer's market is in danger of closing because a building is going to be constructed in the empty lot where it has been held for the past 10 years. This is a problem because the market is such an asset to our community. So a committee formed to look for a new location. The first idea was to close the street off for a few hours each Saturday morning. Unfortunately, the city manager nixed that idea since he believed that too many people would complain. Finally, I came up with the perfect solution. Since the high school is closed on Saturday, we will be having the market in the school parking lot. What are our hint words? Well, problem, solution. And let's look at how we would fill this out. So what is our problem? Farmers market is in danger of closing. The beloved farmers market is in danger of closing and people care. Here we've got 2 solutions. One that turns out to not be such a great one, close off a street for a few hours each Saturday morning, but there's some flaws in that solution. So the author came up with a better one, which is to have the farmers market in a high school parking lot on Saturdays when it's not being used. Problem, solution. 2 more. Compare and contrast. Compare and contrast is to find the similarities and differences between items. Compare means find similarities. How are they the same? How are they similar? Contrast means what are the differences? So compare and contrast are 2 actual separate things. When I say I want you to compare these things, I want you to tell me what's the same. If I say I want you to contrast these ideas, then how are they different? And when you are comparing and contrasting, you're doing a little bit of both. So some of the hint words and phrases are both, similarity, different, differences, or on the other hand, meaning or in contrast. And this is our visual representation of that. It's called a Venn diagram, and I'm sure most of you have seen something like this before. You have 2 circles, and they have a little bit of an overlap. So on this side, on the outside, what is different about item 1 from item 2? Those are the things that are unique to them. And then in the middle, it's the qualities or traits that they share. Let's do our example. I like both strawberries and oranges for different reasons. Strawberries are a beautiful red color and they taste so sweet. It is fun to pick them from strawberry bushes. On the other hand, oranges are a brilliant shade of orange and taste a bit more sour. Rather than bushes, they grow in trees. Both strawberries and oranges are types of fruit. They have seeds and are a healthy snack option. What are our hint words that this is compare and contrast? Both, on the other hand, rather than a comparison or a contrast, and both again. So anytime you hear those 2 things, you know that you are comparing and contrasting. So let's take our Venn diagram, our visual or graphic organizer for this. Because strawberries are discussed first in the passage, we're going to put those on the left. And then because oranges come up second, we're going to put those on the right side. So strawberries, what's unique about them? Well, they have a red color, they taste sweet, and they grow in bushes. Oranges, what's unique about them is they have an orange color, they taste sour, and they grow in trees. Finally, how are they similar? They are both fruits, they both have seeds, and they are both healthy. Last one, description. Now, description can be tough for some kids, but because it has just kind of a different idea of what we have normally been thinking about. Usually there's a relation between them. This is just showing or describing what an item or a place is like. time doesn't pass in these passages or isn't really important. So it's not steps in a process. It's not chronological. It just is a thing or a place, and you are just providing a mental image. You are describing smells or tastes or sounds or feelings, and giving us a lot of detail. So the hint words or phrases are like locations, directions, and lots of details. And what we do is we do this kind of graphic organizer where we have the topic in the middle and then the details just coming off of it, like little arms. So let's do our description example. My room is the best place in the whole wide world. On the west wall, there are 2 windows that show spectacular sunsets. My bed sits in the middle of my room so that I can see everything. Across from my bed, there is a television where I watch all my favorite shows. Next to the TV is a big walk-in closet to hold my shoe collection. What are the hint words? What can we find in here to help us know that this is a description? Well, on the west wall, showing a location or a direction. My bed sits in the middle of the room, again, a location. Across from my bed, next to the TV. You're even drawing almost like a mental map for your reader. And here is our graphic organizer. What's the topic? Well, it's in the first sentence, my bedroom. And what are the 4 details? Well, 2 windows on the west wall, bed in the middle of the room, television across from the bed, and next to that television is a big closet by the TV. So for description, it is just an idea, a space, a location, an item, and then just describing that item or place. Okay, so let's quickly review. We have 3 elements of nonfiction. They are main idea, what point the author is trying to make, or what the author is saying about a topic. Author's purpose, why are they writing it? What is the reason for them putting in the effort of writing this piece of nonfiction? Finally, text structure, how is it organized? And these are the 3 building blocks that make up all nonfiction texts. Okay, so today you're finishing off your nonfiction notes. Tomorrow, on Thursday, you will be doing a nonfiction digital scavenger hunt. So there's going to be a link in the classwork on Thursday after you do your warm-up where you're going to be able to go in and try to locate questions where you can practice these elements of nonfiction. Okay, it is there are directions in it and there are directions on the assignment. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me or Ms. Sequoia. And yeah, you'll get some practice on nonfiction. And then next week, we're going to do some more practice on all of the stuff we've talked about this week. All right. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Make sure you fill in your notes and you do your exit ticket, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.